really touched on the Google Home Mini for quite a while now, and having owned one for about 6 or 7 months, maybe even 8, I thought I might just give you guys a quick review on the Google Home Mini. You're probably just wondering if it's a good speaker or not, and I thought that in this review I might just give you guys maybe 5 or 6 reasons to buy one, perhaps 1 or 2 why you shouldn't. So without further ado, I'll leave buying links in the description as usual, and yep, let's get into the video. So the Google Home Mini is actually really well built. It's kind of got this third plastic and then kind of 2/3 fabric layer, if you like. The plastic shell on the bottom, it doesn't feel tacky, it feels nice and premium, and it houses pretty much the ports and the switch, which I'll get onto in a bit. And then of course you've got kind of this really nice just basic separation between all 3 of the materials, including the rubber on the bottom. But yeah, it's good, and the fabric feels kind of nicely woven. I also like how the LEDs are still bright enough that they're actually still visible through this fabric cover. But the fabric's really well attached. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's going to fall out anywhere, and trust me, I've dropped this thing a lot of times off my desk and just off tables and things like that where I've mounted it, and it's absolutely fine, you know? Really durable, good build materials, and they don't scratch very easily either. So the rubber base is orange on the charcoal variant. It's also orange on the white variant, so it nicely contrasts the body. It's pretty much the complete opposite color to what you'd expect, and I like that. You know, Google goes for bold colors. They've also done that with like the accented power buttons on the Pixel 3, and yeah, I just like the design choice here. Obviously on the bottom it's quite plain. You've just got a little Google logo in the middle, and then around the edge you've got the amphitheater Google Parkway address, I think it is, and then of course you've just got like hazard labels and stuff at the bottom. But yeah, the rubber's really grippy. I've put this thing on loads of different surfaces like tables, even my bed at some point, so you know, it hasn't fallen off, and the rubber doesn't feel like it's again gonna fall off. Build quality is really solid on this thing, so yeah, it's definitely a thumbs up from me. However, where I run into like my first problem is just the mute switch. I mean, it's good, but I just wish there was like maybe a button or something like on the regular Google Home. But also because it's just really hard to get your nails in there. Like, I have fairly long nails, so it's not too much of a problem for me. But like having other people test it, it's just really hard to really get your fingers under the mute switch and be able to push it properly. That being said though, it does do its job, and it does show up orange on top of the Google Home Mini, so you do of course know when the thing is actually muted. One choice that actually surprised me was the fact that this uses a micro USB port, as opposed to, you know, pretty modern USB-C ports, which Google actually uses on pretty much all their phones, including even the Nexus I reviewed a while back, which, you know, it actually kind of surprised me because, you know, considering Google pushes so far towards USB-C, and they pretty much promote that as their one unibody port, it kind of surprised me that this doesn't actually use it. The Google Home Max, however, does use a USB-C port, and of course it's got a headphone jack. This thing doesn't, so you can't actually plug this thing into any speakers or anything, but you can obviously use Chromecast and other Philips Hue accessories and stuff like that, so it's not too bad. Also, speaker quality, if you're wondering, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the regular Google Home, which has 3 separate sideways facing speakers, whereas this one is just a single upward facing speaker with what Google calls 360-degree surround sound. It's not really, it's just kind of facing upwards, and pretty much the sound will just bounce anywhere within a certain radius. Although it does, you know, I find it manages to cover a decent amount of space, considering when you're putting on low volume music, you can still pretty much hear it around like an entire room or two, so no problems there. The quality isn't as good, but it still actually gets pretty loud. I was actually pretty impressed that it, you know, it's just about as loud as maybe a dual speaker Sony setup or something like that. So, you know, I'm not disappointed with them. So pretty much to summarize the video, the final part of the Google Home Mini, which you guys are probably watching this for in the first place, is it actually a good speaker, and does it have good responses? And the answer is a solid yes. This is probably one of the most widely ranged response units that you can get right now. The Google Home Mini especially, obviously taking after feature sets from the larger Google Home and Google Home Max, which obviously cost way more. This gives you probably the best value for money, considering this, compared to something like the Amazon Echo Dot, just gives you so many more responses. It's crazy. I mean, I can't even think of a time where I've asked this thing a question that it, you know, hasn't had some sort of response to anyway. So, you know, that's definitely one of the highest selling points of this device. obviously, as well with the ecosystem, and the Google Home app, which allows you to, you can ask it to go through like an audiobook or just link your Spotify account so you can play your playlists and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the whole video. So thank you guys for watching. I'll have pretty much all the links in the description for like the Amazon Echo Dots, and also buying links for the Google Home Mini. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.